Hey guys, when I was an evangelical for 30 years, my sole source of authority was the Bible and the Bible alone. I didn't give a crap about any church council, any pope's decision. It was the Bible alone. If I disagreed with my pastor, if it was a small issue, I'd say, well, I disagree, pick out the bones, eat the meat. If it was a big issue, I'd tell them and maybe leave the church. But I became Catholic because of the Bible, because of the Bible alone led me to the Catholic Church. Because when I learned, I don't learn how to speak Greek or speak Hebrew, but I know how to research Greek and Hebrew and see the original words, see there's resources, you can look up words. When I learned how to read the Bible exegetical, the deeper I got into the Bible, I realized there's no way, using the Bible alone, I can say the Catholic Church is wrong about the Eucharist. There's no way. And there was no one that had an answer for me. My greatest Bible teachers didn't have an answer. They would use philosophy, basically. And I would tell them that, well, that's not a biblical answer. That's a philosophical answer. So then I said, if the Catholic Church has got this right, what else do they got right? And equally as important to me coming over was realizing if I have an authoritative book, there must have been an authoritative church to give us that book. If I have an infallible book, there must be an infallible source to give me the book. And, my the young evangelicals watching this was like, oh no, God gave us the book. Yeah, God inspired the writers of the book to write infallibly the word of God, even though they were fallible. But he had to give people that same gift of infallibility to decide which books would be in the Bible. Because up until the first council that decided it, the Council of Rome in 382 AD, the church had a lot of holy books that they read, that a lot of Christian leaders would say, this belongs in the canon of Scripture. This is biblical. This is God-breathed. The Book of Hermas, the letters of Clement, so on and so forth. But God gave the authority to the church, Matthew chapter 16, 18, and 19. He gave the authority that he had when he was on earth to the church. And the church decided which books would be in the Bible. And I realized if I don't trust the church that decided which book should be in the Bible, then I shouldn't trust the Bible. And once I accepted the authority of the church, I went and got me a Catholic catechism, started reading the church councils, got me a book on the code of canon law to see what do I have to submit to, what authority am I submitting to. So today, I'm just going to share what I found, and we're going to read the canon law, we're going to read a council, and then, we'll see what God shows us. So, canon law, this is the code of canon law. They have every canon in Latin and English. I'm going to read the English today. When I learn Latin, I'll read you the Latin. So, all right. Canon Law 751. Heresy is the obstinate post-baptismal denial of some truth which must be believed with divine and Catholic faith, or it is likewise an obstinate doubt concerning the same. So you're obstinate about a truth that you have to believe, like the Mormons or the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Trinity is not true. Or like a doubt. Well, I'm not saying the Trinity is not true, but come on, how could it be true? These anti-Trinitarian guys, they make a good point, and kind of doubting and put seeds of doubt in other Christians' minds about the Trinity. That's heresy. Or anything that the church proclaims to be truth. Apostasy is the total repudiation of the Christian faith. So that would be like, I made a few videos about these, very popular evangelicals who said they're going through a process of deconstructionism. That's the new word for apostasy in evangelicalism. I did one about Joshua Harris and one of the guys from Christian rock band, and there's a couple big name mega pastors. They totally went into apostasy, saying the Christian faith is untrue, everything. They're atheists, basically. That's apostasy. And then schism. So Canon 751 is dealing with heresy, apostasy, and schism. It's given a definition of each. So schism, or some people pronounce it schism, but I'm from Jersey, so I'm going to say schism, is the refusal of submission to the Roman pontiff or communion with the members of the church subject to him. So when I was a Protestant, I was in schism with Rome. I did not accept his authority. I had made a video, and it was titled Joe Biden banned from communion. And a lot of people were mad. They said that's not true. You're lying. But if you watch the video, I talked about there are certain sins that we are automatically excommunicated. Automatic. Like the sin of abortion. You're automatically excommunicated. If you help someone attain an abortion and make it easy, you're automatically excommunicated. So I said in that video, and I still believe now, that he self-excommunicated himself because he's the most pro-abortion president we've ever had. He's also the most pro-transgender. He made a ton of money with his foundation before he became president, pushing transgenderism, genital mutilation as young as 6-year-old kids. They support it. And he put people in charge of our health services that support this demonic, as Pope Francis called it. He said transgenderism is a demonic theory not based on science. These are the words of Pope Francis. So Joe Biden is pushing two demonic theories: transgenderism and abortion. So I said he was banned. People are like, well, he wasn't formally banned. I'm like, I didn't say he was formally banned. Watch the video. And then what does that mean? Canon 915 says those who are excommunicated, and he was self-excommunicated, or interdicted after the imposition or declaration of the penalty, and others who obstinately persist in the manifest grave sin are not to be admitted Holy Communion. So it's his responsibility. If his bishop in Washington, D.C. don't want to take this responsibility and formally, publicly announce that he's banned from Holy Communion, like the good bishop in San Francisco, Bishop Corleone did, that doesn't mean that he could take it and be not guilty of sin. No, he's guilty of sin every time he takes it because he's self-excommunicated. And where do I get that from? 1329, Canon 1329. If the penalties established against the principal author are inflicted ones, then those who collaborate to commit an offense or a common conspiracy. So if you're helping someone get an abortion, but who are not expressly named in a law or precept, are subject to the same penalties. So if you get an abortion, it's automatic excommunication. Up until a few years ago, a priest couldn't even absolve you of that sin. You would have to go to a bishop. But because of the year of mercy and the need, there's so much sin. The Bible says where sin abounds, grace abounds, so much more. Pope Francis has allowed priests to hear the confession of people who obtained abortion. So this is a grave, immortal sin. Pope Francis says the gravest immortal sins, abortion. So if you help someone, you're guilty. It's saying you're guilty to the same severity. Accomplices who are not named in a law or in a precept incur an automatic penalty, automatic excommunication attached to an offense if it would not have been committed without their efforts. So if these girls couldn't get abortions without the effort of Joe Biden and the Democrats making all these pro-abortion laws, then he wouldn't be guilty. But he is guilty, because if he would make laws preventing it, then he wouldn't be a conspirator in it. And the penalty is of such a nature that it can punish them. Otherwise, they can be punished by inflicted penalties. So that's why I said Joe Biden is banned. And I might even said Nancy Pelosi was banned before she was publicly banned. These are automatic excommunications. You know, and I would argue, if you vote for a pro-abortion politician, you fall in that same category. So that was Canon 1329, if you're taking notes. Now, sometimes you can think, okay, well, I agree on everything the church teaches, but the Pope doesn't. So I'm going to bash him. I'm going to call him a heretic. I'm going to call him an anti-Pope. I'm going to judge him. According to canon law, 1404 says the first see, which is the Pope, is the Bishop of Rome, which is the Pope. The first see is judged by no one. I mean, I'm no scholar. I never try and play a biblical scholar on this channel. I'm no theologian, but I can read, and you can read. Canon 1404, the first see is judged by no one. So if you're committing the sin of judging the Pope, I think that's a serious offense you need to pray about, and maybe go talk to a priest, maybe go to confession. I'm not judging you. You know, we're all guilty of, sometimes we get mad and we think we're, doing the right thing. But, I said in my last video, that just because you don't like Vatican II, you can't disobey Vatican I. So, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses, they say the church fell into apostasy after the last apostle died. So they started their own little cult. The Seventh-day Adventists, they claim that Constantine mixed paganism with the church. And that's when the church went into apostasy in like the 4th century. So they started their little cult, the Seventh-day Adventists. Protestants say it happened in the Dark Ages sometime. Apostasy crept in, and Martin Luther fixed it. The Schismatics say it happened in the 1960s. The Catholic Church went into apostasy. They don't have to listen to anything after that. They don't have to obey Vatican II. They don't have to submit to these popes, because these are all anti-popes after Vatican II. But the Orthodox Catholic says he believes Jesus Christ, Matthew 16:18, the gates of hell will not prevail against my church. And, the Lord comforted me this weekend, and I'm starting to change how I feel about things, and he's given me a deep peace. And, one of the guys that helped me was Keith Nestor. If you didn't see, I was on his show a couple days ago. I highly recommend this brother, really good guy. He's down to earth, he's smart. I was joking with him. I said, hey, thanks for bringing me on your show. I'm on, you're a big kahuna. And he laughed, because he doesn't see himself that way. He's very humble. And he said, no, really, Rob. And he put things in perspective. And he's got like quadruple the amount of subscribers I have. But there's people that got Catholic YouTubers that got quadruple his. And he said, us in this, we live in this little world. We think we're all, we see these guys, they got 300,000, 400,000 subscribers. He said, and there's an 8th grader on the corner that has 5 million subscribers, And it's funny, because my grandson is 12, and he'll show me like these teenagers with like 10 million subscribers, 50 million subscribers. So sometimes I get like worried, and I'm like, when I was us Catholics love when Protestants convert to Catholicism. That's why we love Scott Hahn, Steve Ray, because you're getting their perspective. Like, okay, These guys found the truth by digging for the truth, by searching the scriptures. And we love that. And then we use their arguments against our Protestant brothers and sisters who try and tell us that our faith is a false religion or we're in apostasy. But when I was a Protestant, the people that we loved were the Catholics that would bash the Catholic Church. We would use them against you. Well, this guy is a famous Catholic, and he said this. He said your Pope's a heretic. He said your Pope's an anti-Pope. This guy's, he's a scholar. He knows more than me and you. And the Protestants would use that. And I've seen that used against me with like personal friends, and emails with people that left because of it. Catholic for Redneck sent me an email, showed me an email he got from a friend who left the church because of following one of these Catholic YouTubers that bash, like they make a living, literally they make a living just like 90% of their content is about the Pope and not how good he is, how bad they think he is. And I was worried about that. I'm like, God, these people are going to draw so many people out of the church. And then God reminded me today, Nero's pride and egotism couldn't destroy the church. Diocletian couldn't destroy the church. Some egotistical YouTuber who hates the Pope and hates Vatican II isn't going to destroy our church. Every Protestant denomination is losing membership. They're in steep decline. Southern Baptist, Methodist. I made a video about the Episcopalian Church. The bishops of the Episcopalian Church says at the rate they're going in 30 years, there'll be no Episcopalian members. They're, if you look at the math, how quickly they're declining in membership. The Catholic Church, I wrote it down, from the year 2000 to now, went from 1 billion members to 1.3 billion members. So in spite of all these people bashing the church, inside and outside of the church, we're growing because the promise is true. The gates of hell will not prevail against his church. And I promise you guys I would explain what I meant when I said, if you don't like Vatican II, you can't disobey Vatican I just because you dislike Vatican II. So I'm just going to read 2 small paragraphs from Vatican I. This is chapter 3, verse 8 and verse 9, or paragraph rather, 8 and 9 in Vatican I. Since the Roman pontiff, by the divine right of the apostolic primacy, governs the whole church, we likewise teach and declare that he is the supreme judge of the faithful, and that in all cases which fall under ecclesiastical jurisdiction, recourse may be had to his judgment. The sentence of the apostolic see, than which there is no higher authority, is not subject to revision by anyone, nor may anyone lawfully pass judgment thereupon. And so they stray from the genuine path of truth, who maintain that it is lawful to appeal from the judgments of the Roman pontiffs to an ecumenical council, as if there were an authority superior to the Roman pontiff. Now, paragraph 9. So then, if anyone says that the Roman pontiff has merely an office of supervision and guidance and not the full and supreme power of jurisdiction over the whole church, and this not only in matters of faith and morals, but also in those which concern the discipline and government of the church dispersed throughout the whole world, or that he has only the principal part, but not the absolute fullness of this supreme power, or that this power of his is not ordinary and immediate, both over all and each of the churches and over all and each of the pastors and faithful, let him be anathema. It's pretty scary to be called anathema. So think before you speak. I'm guilty sometimes of speaking before I think, and sometimes I got to confess things I say might have been wrong. I'm telling you guys, don't judge our Pope. Canon Law 1404, the first see is judged by no one. God bless and stay Catholic.